Hey team, happy Friday, as I like to say. It is Friday. It is not only hooray Friday weekend. For me, it is also hooray. I am planning on taking a staycation next week. So we live in a vacation area. I have watched people on vacation while I'm taking my walks and things, seeing them go to the beach. Gotta say, I'm a little jealous because I am obviously working down here. But next week, we have friends visiting, lots of family. Some of the family has already arrived. And so I've opted to close the office for the entire week. And I'm going to just enjoy spending time with family and friends, which is really exciting. So here's an interesting topic that's kind of come up in multiple ways in the last few days. So I don't know if any of you know, I finished up taking Karen Anderson's Shame School, which is kind of the course of 3 months, and was incredible, digging into what are our shame stories, and then what are the stories we can take that help propel us forward, that help us step into our stronger kind of power, that feeling like one of mine is like being a badass. And there was a situation that was medical in which a doctor really did not do the right thing by me. And so harnessing that energy I had when I told that doctor that he was wrong, saying, you are not my doctor. So whenever I'm kind of feeling like I need to like really step into that strength, that's what I can say. So I was working with a client this morning, and this particular client, we were talking about Dr. Tamara Rozier's book, Your Brain's Not Broken, and specifically around what's called the Solve It Grid. And I don't want to get into a long detail around the Solve It Grid, except to say that it measures your, and I'm going to look it up because I'm not going to remember, emotional stimulation versus whether or not something is fun. So sort of tapping into that ADHD interest-based system, which is huge for us. And this particular client needs to hang some artwork. And it's one of those tasks that's not urgent. It doesn't have a lot of emotion around it. It's just kind of something that would be nice if she got done. So it ends up in the yellow zone because it's not a lot of fun to do. And there's no like high energy stimulation around it. So yellow zone. And it just so happens I also had a major yellow zone task to do, which is, and I never find this fun, organizing paperwork. And we moved here in February. There was a lot of stuff around getting moved at all. One of the things I had done was I had created like a box that had the most important paperwork in case I had to touch it right away. It was in this particular file box, which I can actually show you. It's down here. And there are a few things left in this, but not very many. I've gotten most of it cleared out. It was just a basic file box. It was never really completely full. But over time, I have had other paperwork kind of implode all around me. So one of the things she mentioned was feeling some shame around not having hung these paintings. And so we went through and thought out like step by step, what was the process it was going to take to hang paintings on the wall. And, so the first is like gathering all your tools, right? Blocking a time in your calendar when you're going to do it. So you're having that time commitment of when you're going to do it. Thinking about what other support you might need. So for example, in her case, her boyfriend can come over. He's got one of those minds that's very like, let's get it done. Loves to be handy around the household. Super bright guy. So but he will be a great support to her to get it done. And then, I said the most important thing to think of afterwards was like, what's the reward you're going to give yourself? But what's really neat is what she came up with is these are particular paintings that were either from her mother or important to her mother or photographs of her mother. I apologize. I can't remember exactly what it was, but she knows that calling her mom and saying afterwards, look, here they are on the wall, is going to make mom like super happy. And then she's going to also celebrate, and she's going to be able to celebrate also her boyfriend who's so gracious to help her do this. So there's all these really good things behind it. And then she mentioned that lovely little gremlin that we all grapple with, especially those of us with ADHD brains, which is shame. And she said, I've got to say, I feel some shame around not having done this. And I said, well, screw the shame. Like it doesn't matter at this point. I'm not saying that we're not going to acknowledge the way people feel, of course, but it's getting done tomorrow, and we can like rewrite our story. And that's the work that Karen was teaching me in her shame school, was how do you rewrite that story while acknowledging that legit this crap is real, your feeling is real. We're not blowing off the feeling. We're just saying, how can we reframe to move forward? So the reframe was, think how amazing it's going to feel to get it done, to have your boyfriend help, and he's going to be psyched you got it done, to be able to share that moment with your mom. So for me, my shame gremlin today was around all this paperwork. And in the paperwork, when I was doing it, I was creating various file folders, and I hadn't had one for urgent biz, but now I do. And then I have this urgent personal. And the fact is, I had kind of sort of remembered back at the end of May when I paid one of the tax bills for our condo out at State College, that there was another one, I was pretty sure, for the county, and that it might be due in June. Today's June 27th. It's due June 30th. So I want to say I found it. It's right here. It's the very top of this entire urgent thing. And by the way, just to give me some good vibes, because I don't really like this urgent folder because it's got things I don't really want to do in it. And there's like definitely shame attached to this. We're going to get to that. I posted this little heart my friend Lisa sent me. She always sends me these lovely little things. And it's a Post-it note. So I'm going to put some love on that shame. And Karen, I hope you're watching this because she will really dig that visual on this. This is awesome. I'm going to tag you, Karen. So at any rate, this shame came rushing up. Oh my God, I didn't pay that June 30th bill. And I was like, no, reframe. You're doing the whole coulda, shoulda, woulda, what if? Well, what if nothing? What if I'm going to pay it this afternoon? So there's no shame in it because it's not due till June 30th. So why am I even letting myself get in this crazy ADHD loop that we can get? Like, you're always late, you always procrastinate, you always this, you always that. Well, guess what? Yeah, but I found it today and I can pay it today and it will go in on time and there will be no negative consequences. In the past, there have been, because things don't get done, which is one of the reasons I wanted to get these freaking papers organized before the end of the month. Because back in my brain, something was niggling saying like, hey, lady, you've got something pending for June 30th. So that is here, ready to go in my orange folder right at the front. I have to say that first, because town hall closes at 4 and it is 2:23, got to go deal with this town hall paperwork first. And then when I come back, I'm going to be going to this orange folder. And if you're wondering why this is not in the urgent folder, it's because I'm taking it with me. So did I get everything? I talked about the yellow zone on the Solvit grid, which is Dr. Tamara Rozier's Solvit grid from Your Brain's Not Broken, an excellent book. If you are just starting out in your ADHD journey and you're trying to better understand your brain. And I took a class over the just prior to shame school, in training for being Your Brain's Not Broken, I guess, facilitator. I'm not sure exactly what they're calling us, but at any rate, I have a lot of work to finish up to get that done so that I can get my certification. I'm looking at like September for that, which is fine. Urgent is something on June 27th for June 30th. Not urgent is something later. And welcome to our ADHD brains. Like, time is now and not now. Now. Not now. Love you, Tamara, but not quite now. Soon, I promise. So if you're struggling with shame, you're feeling challenged around something, think about how you can reframe it. When's a time in your life you had a moment where you were so on fire, so strong, so awesome, and bring that energy to it. Bring that sort of badass energy. I'll do one more story. I was hiking to Machu Picchu, and we were at the very, very beginning of rainy season. I was very sick. Apparently, I had very bad altitude sickness. I had no idea that I had asthma at that point. By the way, I was 30. It was back half a lifetime ago. Should I even admit that? And we had to cross a 16,000-foot pass. I did not do well with this. Again, I did not know I had altitude sickness. I knew I had altitude sickness. I didn't know I had asthma. So this particular day was a very, very rainy day. It was technically our second to last day of hiking. To get to Machu Picchu, we did a 6-day hike in, and the weather was horrible. And our campsite for that night was going to be overlooking this absolutely beautiful valley on the edge of a mountain, completely exposed. And it's raining. It is just raining. And I know my altitude sickness was GI related. So you figure it out, please. Just say I joked that I left my mark from the Inca Trail. At any rate, not literally on, near. So one of the guides came back to check on me to see how I was doing and said, look, we need to make a decision, and you're the slowest. You're the one who's struggling the most. Can you make it 17 kilometers to a later campsite? So it was literally this wind exposed, really probably not safe campsite for the night, or continue on to a major base camp, which would have been a lot safer. That was only like, say, 2 hours from Machu Picchu. And I said, we're going. And they were floored. They fully expected that I was going to be the voice that said, no, we're not. But I was just determined I was not going to hold up the group. I was going to dig deep. I was going to make it happen. I knew that the next day I'd only have 2 hours to hike and hopefully a beautiful day, which it was. Lucky me. And I just kept going. So I got to the lunch site where everybody's eating, which PS was that windy site. And as soon as I got there, I was like, oh my God. Thank God I told them we were going to keep going. And here's the really important thing. I never sat down. I just kept going. I ate standing up. My diet was literally vegetables that were stewed and rice. Stewed vegetables and rice was all I could eat. I was that sick. So I ate my stewed vegetables and rice while standing. Everybody said, you got to sit down. I said, if I sit down, I will not stand back up again. And then I maybe took like a 15-minute break to eat, and I kept going ahead of everybody else. I was like determined, kept barreling through. Of course, they all kind of passed me, and I was the last one to get to the campsite not long before sunset. I have a picture of me. I am beaming with happiness. I couldn't believe I had done it. And when I think to that moment, I never feel shame that I was struggling. I mean, I didn't know I would get that sick. Who could possibly know? I feel like that was that moment of just total badassery, man. Like, that was incredible. And I remember telling this story years later to a very dear friend of mine who's a Vietnam vet, Marine, always a Marine, never was a Marine, always a Marine. And this is Dell. And Dell said to me, you'd have made a hell of a badass, broad-ass Marine. And when I said, but I was really struggling the whole way. I was crying. I was this, I was that. He said, there's no shame in that because you still did it. It doesn't matter. Your body was just releasing stuff. It had to. It was like you had no energy left. You had nothing left in the tank. And so, of course, you were crying. Of course, you were struggling. Of course, you were having all those feelings, and it was raining. Oh, my God. There was so much rain on this hike. It was crazy. The point is, find that story in your past history, that one where you were super strong, where you did not let anything get in your way or stop you. And when you have these moments where these shame gremlins show up and they say yappy little crappy stuff, have this person over here, that really strong person, tell that shame gremlin to be quiet. Or I would probably say shut up, but but let's be polite and say be quiet. So that's what I'm going to leave with you with as I head into a week off on my staycation. I'm not saying I won't videotape, because I probably will, because I like coming and talking to all of you live, but I am going to step back from the business and take a break and reset and spend some serious time with friends and family. We are going to revel in the pause. Remember, I always say the power's in the pause. I'm going to take a big old pause to regroup, to reset, to just enjoy the things that, having just moved here, we've had to move. I haven't had a lot of time to really enjoy. So I start tomorrow with another regatta going on Ron's boat. I'm super excited about that. The people in our little tiny yacht club are fabulous. Actually, it's not such a tiny yacht club anymore. When I first started racing with them, which I was doing like once a summer, because I was only here once a summer, we're like doubled in size. It's really incredible. Fenwick Island Yacht Club. What a great group of people. I'm really happy to be a part of them. And then friends coming into town, launching our daughter off to a semester abroad, which is like a 5-week program overseas. And then having some time with friends and just us as a couple. We'll get back to our regularly scheduled solo parents programming. It's been amazing to have her here. She's had 6 or 7 weeks doing an internship with the Bethany Beach Police Department. And now we are, she's off to do this incredible criminology program overseas. So fun to watch our kids soar. And also fun for them to be doing their own thing and us getting to do our own thing. So if you are in the U.S. and celebrating the 4th, I am wishing you the happiest 4th, a good week early. And if you're not, a lot of other great holidays coming up around the world. No matter where you are, what you're doing, I am wishing you the very best. And with that, I'm signing off.